And we're rolling.
Good. Welcome, everyone. My name is Bill Coleman, and I'm here on behalf of the Benton Institute for Broadband and Society, and want to welcome you to this meeting today. Great to have you. I know with our two cohorts of communities, we're underway now. We're about halfway through with our first group of 6 communities, and looking forward to working with your 6. But I know between the time that we let you know that you're a participant and today, people can get a little antsy, and we wanted to help you just get better prepared to begin, hit the ground running when it comes to May. So we've got 6 communities, and it's interesting groupings. We've got Bond County is one of our communities, and then we have Kankakee County. And within that, a group, Community Development Corporation, that has been working within Kankakee County is at the community level on better broadband. And so we've grouped them together. We've got Kaskaskia College area that is a big group of communities, counties near there. Livingston County, Ogle County, which applied and then included some partner counties in their application. And then Peoria and Woodford both applied, and since they're adjacent, we said, well, maybe they should work together. And of course, we're trying to help as many communities participate as we can. So we thought, well, if we can only do 6, let's put 2 together, and then instead of 7, we'll just call that 6. So it's exciting to be here today and to have you participate. I don't see Matt on the call. Matt, are you here? That's fine. Adrienne Furness is here. She's the executive director of the Benton Institute for Broadband and Society, and a strong supporter of promoting broadband in Illinois. And then we also have Robbie Macbeth from her team from Benton. And then we have 2 of our science and technology policy fellows that are assigned to the Office of Broadband, but are affiliated with the University of Illinois. So we've got a pretty good team to support your efforts as we go forward. I'm going to share my screen and go through some slides here and just to help everyone get on the same page. I know that during our application process over the holidays, some people on this call maybe even had their names assigned to an application and not really sure what you're signed up for. So we want to make sure that we're all on board. So are you seeing my full screen? Good. So 3,000 Zoom meetings, and I'm never sure what's going to pop up on the sharing. So this program is really created based on a program of something I use in Minnesota in my work with the Blandon Foundation, and been very successful there. And now we've brought it to Illinois, and it looks like we'll be bringing it to Ohio and Tennessee and Arkansas as well. And that's really happening through the Connecting the Heartland Foundation initiative of the Heartland Foundation. And we appreciate their assistance. Illinois Extension, Nancy is our chief contact, is so helpful in our broadband promotion efforts, not only hosting these webinars, but also in survey support and analysis. And of course, the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity through the Office of Broadband, partnering with Benton Institute to bring this program to you. And so here's my contact information, and you've probably seen this on a number of emails already. Feel free at any time, whether you're a member of the team or the leader of the team, to give me a call or send an email. and happy to respond and to your questions, concerns, just provide some coaching as we go. I consider myself the community broadband coach for the Benton Institute. So the program purpose of the Accelerate program is to educate and support your community teams as you create your vision and pursue the best possible broadband solution for your community. We know that if this was easy, it would have been done by now. And so that's why it takes these community teams to proceed. A bigger, stronger team is always better, and really want you to go through the hard work of going through the process of really defining that vision and then understanding what your alternatives are to get there, and then helping to build the community will to make that happen. And so all those things are really required to have some success. And we think that with these teams, building that community will is really one of the real positive benefits. So when we think about the team, you know, some of you are at a single county, and that becomes pretty simple when you think about the geography of your county. You know, where do the people live? Where are the most unserved and underserved places within that, your geography? Thinking about the membership of the group, and you know, I really recommend that you have some balance of technical people, policymakers, staff from key organizations, so that you have a good balance. And then don't forget the actual people who are unserved. Having some of those people who are kind of starved for broadband on your team really takes it from a theoretical exercise to a very real exercise with those folks that are suffering from the lack of capacity. And so I think having those voices on the team is really important.
Hey, Bill, this is George. Real quick, when you define unserved, it's not necessarily just a lack of access. It's that there's an economic side to this too. Is that accurate? Or
there sure can be, although George, this Accelerate program really focuses on the infrastructure.
Okay.
And we don't really want to get too much into the free devices kind of strategies and so on, or certainly affordability is an important part of building a business case, you know, for a provider. If they look at the demographics and large numbers of people are relatively low income families, you know, that really affects their thinking about how many people will subscribe to an internet service. And so it really affects their decision making as to what kind of subsidies they might need, or strategies, community partners to make that happen. With a new affordable connectivity program that provides up to $30 per family for internet connections, that is certainly one tool to use to help build up that business case. Although I understand, I've seen some recent data now that a lot of that is being captured by the cellular data companies, because they're excellent marketers, as we all know, and are out there much more aggressively than more of the wired providers have been.
Well, feel free to send those my way, because they're not around. I'm joking. Yeah.
And so then providers on your team, I wanted to talk briefly about that. You know, if you're a community and you see, you know, you're served by a company that isn't very responsive, and you see a company serving part of your county that is community oriented, that's interested in expanding, that you see as kind of your best bet as a broadband provider partner moving forward, you know, I'd encourage you to bring them onto your team. You can build relationships, you can understand their thinking, they can hear more from community members. So I think there's real opportunity there to do that. You know, inviting a bunch of providers onto your team, you know, some of which may not be that interested in solving your problem. You know, I'd have second thoughts about that if you see them more as blocking your community from achieving its vision as opposed to being a good partner. Some communities in broadband planning efforts, we haven't seen it in an accelerate yet, but have kind of a technical advisory team where they might put all their providers in kind of separate meetings, just as a place to maintain contact with them and give them opportunity. But one thing that in my thought process, my philosophy about this is that the community is the one that should decide what's good enough for our community. It shouldn't be a provider coming in from the outside and saying, oh, 25.3 is good enough for you. That's not the way we do it in community leadership. And so thinking about that just with the role of providers. One of our communities last time in the first cohort used a form that when they were recruiting people to their team, they essentially said, hey, sign this form. And the form says, I will do my best to be there every Thursday morning from 8:30 to 10:30. And I recognize these are the responsibilities of the team. And that was really, all those responsibilities were listed in the NOFO application process that you responded to. And I think that's really an effective method to get people on board, to recognize the commitment that this requires 14 weeks, 2 to 3 hours a week, and probably more. I was a former Cub Scout leader, and they used to say, oh, it's only an hour a week. And that was kind of a trick to get you engaged, and certainly more than that. And to really solve your broadband problems might be considerably more than that 2 or 3 hours a week for especially some key team members. So making sure that you have your folks know about what this is all about, and getting them to commit to that, I think is a powerful thing. So I'm going to talk here now for a few minutes about these multi-county areas. They're a little bit of a mystery for me on this Accelerate program. Traditionally, and the program's not that old that we have that much history on it. But when I think about the possible benefits, you can see here, this regional broadband momentum, which is a thing. In Minnesota, our first group of communities were all kind of in the same area. They each had their own teams, but we've definitely got some regional momentum there. This larger leadership base to choose from, I think, is powerful. The geographic scale might bring provider interest, although it can be intimidating to a provider to say, oh, look at this 4 or 5 county area. They don't have the capacity to expand that big, that fast. Getting regional entities like regional planning commissions and regional foundations and others to support the initiative is great. And then just knowing there's enhanced political power, that you have multiple legislators or Congress members to back your plans for grant applications and so on. What I see as the challenges are the partnering counties might not be at the same place on broadband planning. One of the counties, or half of them, might have already done some work. The other half maybe hasn't done anything at all. And so how do you work that kind of thing? And I think all these things can be dealt with, but I think it requires some good communication there at the local and regional level. This leadership team diluted across geography. If you have a dozen people from, we'll just say Ogle County on your team, that's different than saying, well, now we're regional. So we have 3 from Ogle and 3 from this other county and 3 from that. You're not getting the same kind of powerful community consensus. The same thing with strategies being maybe less specific, the bigger geographic you go. When you look at a state broadband plan, it's all principles and kind of priorities. When you look at a community broadband plan, it's let's get broadband to those houses or that census tract or that township or to this even county. And so thinking about these geographies, it's important to think about those strategies. I think again, backing to this leadership team, if your county leadership at the county government sees this regional plan and they see that 1 or 2 people from their county's been a part of it, they're less likely to take it as seriously as if the team was entirely from their constituent base. And so I think that's important. And we think about messaging to bring that to the forefront. And then just in terms of the results, ultimately all these people lacking broadband are sitting at a specific location. And so some of those are more easily served than others. We see this at the county level, certainly, the areas around a county seat might be the easiest to serve. Places that are more lower densities, farther from other places, have different challenges. And so I just want to make sure that, people think that these opportunities, it might not be easy to say, oh, we've got a 3-county area, we're going to fix that all at the same time. That it might be some counties, some areas might get multiple projects while some counties don't get any. And so that can be a real challenge just in group dynamics. So all something to think about as you work on your teams that have multiple counties involved, to build a team that can overcome these challenges will be important. Here's our kind of process here that when we think about starting here in mid-May, we have leadership education that goes through the entire process and building that team's knowledge in these weekly chunks. It's really fun to see how smart people get about these broadband strategies and technologies and best practices. We do a lot of information gathering through this process, especially early on, provider interviews, community surveys, looking at the maps, other kind of data and information, understanding the opportunity and doing the planning towards the last part of the event. And then, of course, we end with your community doing a presentation to the other communities in the cohort about what it is that you've learned and what it is you're going to do. And so as you think about your community, where are you in this process? And if it's a multiple community or multiple county kind of initiative, you might have people in different spots in different places on this. Here's the process. Archived webinars. We ask you to watch a webinar every week. That's an hour long. On the Thursday mornings, we bring in our experts. We facilitate your inter-community discussions between the 6 communities. And then you have an hour for your own team discussion throughout the process. So each week you have that. And some communities find that 1 hour with their group adequate. Others say, hey, we need to meet again, keep things moving. In terms of the information gathering, community surveys, broadband surveys, and Nancy was our leader on that. We have a good model survey. We can provide the web link for you with a customized cover letter on that for your own geography from your own leadership. And we usually use a speed test as a part of that, so you can not only use the state maps, but also the speed test data created by your own survey respondents. Again, the provider interviews, the maps, and then understanding really what's available to you for public finance tools. Then obviously, then what's next? We do these community plans over the last 2 weeks. I meet with each community individually, either in 1 or 2 sessions, depending on the community need and interest, and really deciding, hey, what are we going to do? How are we going to get there? And that plan lays all that out. And then your community then reports to your own community, whether that's at a county board meeting, community broadband meetings, and then off you go implementing. We've often found already now communities are implementing projects even before the plans, if they can find some, projects are announced or grant opportunities are announced. our communities have been ready to jump in and pursue those dollars even in advance of the final planning. So here's our schedule. You can see each week we have a topic of the week, and we start in mid-May and we end in mid-August, and right now we're on for Thursday mornings from 8:30 to 11:30. And so hopefully people can put those on their calendars and put them on and erase unerasable ink, permanent ink, and participate in those. Our teams now range in size from 8 to about 16 people on the teams. And so we have not seen any hindrance from too many people on the teams. So feel free to go well beyond that number 8. And so that's really the presentation today. I just really wanted to think a lot about the membership of your team and getting them organized and committed in advance of our May launch. Other questions? Comments?
Bill, I got just a couple. George Evans from Kaskaskia. Obviously, I know that I see our good friends to the north of us, Bond County, are additional recipients to Accelerate Illinois, this program, but there's nothing outlining we cannot work together in a collaborative spirit, even though we were identified as separate entities to participate in that. Is that a true statement?
Very true.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, providers don't care anything about boundaries, the county line or city lines. They're looking for people, they're looking for opportunities. And so if as you start to, and there'll be plenty of opportunity in these meetings to find out what's going on in Kaskaskia and Boyd and your Bond, and be able to follow up either during the meetings or after the meetings and so on.
Okay. And then my other one was, obviously we submitted ours on behalf of the college, which covers portions of 9 counties. Do you have any best practices of of previous either states or institutions that you worked at that worked with such a big geographical area? Is there any suggestions or anybody that you could point me to I'm just thinking of the collaborative effort of getting everybody on board, which is okay, just keeping them interested and engaged from here on out. I love your idea as far as having them sign on the dotted line up front. And we had those discussions with almost everybody we solicited a letter of support for, but I would love to hear any additional champions or best practices that have had some success dealing with such a large geographic region.
Within Illinois, there's been that Broadband Ready program that's been out of the Illinois University system generally in partnership with the Broadband office. I think those are plans that tend to be probably more of what I would say is the theoretical and the broadband principles rather than actionable. So, the goal of this program is to really pursue broadband infrastructure projects.
Correct.
And so again, the 9 county, I would advise you to think about really narrowing your geography to be more within 60 miles of the college or X number of miles within the college, and let people from outlying areas kind of come along for the ride if you want, but really to have a particular focus.
Okay. And in some of my discussions with others that are on here, Brad Noloff from the Clinton County Board, I think that's very similar to what we discussed as far as really centralizing this around the college and the real meat potatoes of the industry of the geographic area that the college serves. And I think we can definitely whittle that down. Because if not, then you're looking at a 2.5-hour drive from the northern part of our district to the southern part, and that's a lot of square miles to cover. And if our goal is to try to get some 95% coverage for internet and cellular access.
And so the goal, I think, would be to develop you might look at some of the regional kind of leaders that you would have on your team and blend that with local people that are in the geography with proximity to the college.
Mhm.
So you're building that capacity then to take on, okay, where else do we want to try and make, bring some solutions and bring this kind of approach, to those places in a phase 2.
Very good. Thank you.
There are a couple of things in the chat, Bill. I know Nancy's dealing with the problem that there were some people that couldn't get in, but Sarah Fields has written Southwest Regional Planning Council efforts. I'm assuming that's aimed to you, George.
Yeah, and I thought I knew every organization in my area, and I'm unfamiliar with that one, so I would love to hear more. Maybe in a sidebar, Sarah and I can exchange emails and information. I know that Mary Gay is here from the Leadership Council, Southwestern Illinois Leadership Council, and that's a very engaged group with us and the college and the local community colleges. So I think that's along the same lines as the Regional Planning Council, but I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, and so like the Northwest Planning Council, Region 1 out of Rockford has been actively working on broadband now through the Illinois Connected Communities program, and then continuing on, I think now with the READY program. So they're another example where, I'm not saying that regional broadband planning isn't a valuable thing, and I think it is to build that leadership capacity and to start to build that political will to make changes and so on. And there's obviously opportunities to collaborate between, especially around the key anchor institutions, around colleges and schools and hospitals and libraries, to collaborate at that level. But ultimately, it's going to come down, when we're looking at trying to get some broadband services in rural Illinois, a lot of this is at the township level and out in the countryside. So there's it gets to be a very specific thing with let's get a wire to a certain address, and that just gets harder at a bigger geographic area.
Sure does.
Yeah. Especially within our accelerate timeline of this 14-week process. That's 3 months. And it just gets more and more complicated the bigger the geography. Other questions? Well, I'm excited that people are here today. We've got a good turnout, 42 folks on the phones. I think we average about 70 folks on our meetings with our Thursday morning now with our first group of 6 communities. And so that's been really positive and good interaction.
Yeah, this is great. This is great. We're excited to be part of this. We really are. And just a tip of advice I see a lot of county governments on here, is if you don't have broadband in your strategic plans or your economic development plans, you probably want to take a hard look at that right now and get it incorporated in your economic plans and strategic planning. There was a struggle a little bit. Thanks for Brad for being on here for Clinton County. It was a little bit of a struggle for us to get everybody on the same page of the importance of how the future of our areas is going to rely upon how strong our broadband connectivity is. And I think it's a good opportunity for those to start with their local planning and economic impact and strategic planning. Just a tip.
Good deal.
Yeah.
So you won't really be hearing from us much now until, probably 2 or 3 weeks before our first session. And just with really right now, I think Nancy, we're you'll hear from Nancy with the links and so on. You guys are registered as a part of this. And we'll continue to have links that you can get your team signed up on. If you sign up and register through Nancy's emails that she'll provide, then you make sure you'll get your calendar invites and all the emails going forward that you need to, with all the community meeting materials and so on. Good. Well, with that, I guess I think we're set.
So Bill, just wanted to note that there are several groups on one line here. So we actually got way more than 42 participants. There's one line with, I think, 6 people in the room. It looks like who have put their team together, and there seem to be a bunch of group people. So it looks like we're more over 50, which is great. But I think just to re-emphasize that people's homework here is just firming up your teams between now and the time that we start to send you the specific video that you should watch ahead of the first session, and who you're going to hear from in terms of guests and you know, the specifics that Bill went through. But I am sitting in with Whiteside County right now. That's the group that Bill referred to that had everybody sign a little you know, I promise to attend the meetings, and they literally have 16 people attending every week. So it's been very encouraging that the same people are showing up and taking responsibility and being very enthusiastic about the program. Obviously, that's a county-wide effort. We have a small village of 200 households in the program that I think has 8 members. So kind of depends on the size, but what we love is seeing the variety of support letters that you got. And so those people are already, you know, saying that they are enthusiastic about your participation. Look to your anchor institutions, your farm bureaus, people that have specific skills like GIS. I noted somebody had GIS in their title here that can help you with the program. So that's the homework assignment, is to get those teams firmed up. And I do see that Matt Schmidt has popped on, and maybe Matt can say goodbye. Sorry, Matt, we're finishing early because we didn't have as many questions as we thought, but why don't you say something?
No, that's great. And folks, I just thanks again for your interest in this program, and Bill and Adrienne and our supporters at Heartland Forward and University of Illinois Extension. This is just the kind of program that the state of Illinois needs to take full advantage of the capital investment coming down the pike. And so really excited to see this level of participation here in the Accelerate Illinois program. I saw a question pop up in the chat just now about the announcement. I'm guessing that the announcement for the second cohort will take place just as you're getting started, likely in early May. So that being said, don't hesitate to spread the word informally. We obviously want you to recruit your full teams. Just try not to issue a press release. And if it ends up in the papers, it happens. We would just love to have a formal announcement and celebrate your participation at the right time. And that's likely going to be hopefully end of April, but probably more realistically early May. And so otherwise, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to the Office of Broadband. And again, another thank you for your interest in leaning into this broadband moment that we're embarking upon, and also for the incredible collaboration that we've got around the board here today. This is an exciting program. So thank you all.
You know, just to add on to the press release, there will be somebody who will get in touch with you to get a quote from your community. So look out for that, because since we want all 6 of the participants to, you know, get a chance to shine in the release. And I do love my colleague Robbie for putting up that you should sign up for the biweekly Illinois newsletter, where you can get a lot of news that is related to what's happening in Illinois and specifically around this program. Okay, Bill, I think we've extended the webinar by about 4 or 5 minutes. Any other questions before we sign off? Thank you to the Community Development Corporation for asking about the release. Not sure who that was, but thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Take care. See you in a bit. Bye, everybody. Looking forward to it.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Hey, Chris, I see you from Ogle County. If you've got a question for me and you want to stick on, I'll hang out
Oh,
here.
yeah. In fact, if the rest of the gang didn't hang on here. Pat, are you still there?
We're still here.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
the
I
big
got-
group.
I dropped a note to Matt.
Yeah, Chris from Ogle County dropped me a direct message here. And so I thought, hey, if you want to have a sidebar convo, I'll stick around.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Pat, if you're around, I just wanted to